Na-na-na-na.
Uh,
Welcome back, everyone. It is Friday. It is time for the B2B Power Hour. And Morgan,
yes.
you had the greatest question of the day that... No? You don't want to go and say the question of the day? Okay, be that way. I'll ask the question
I
of the
didn't
day.
think it was my question of the day. That's the reason I'm giving you that look. I thought...
Oh, is that good that you're like going to even give me credit for it?
I know. Like I don't give you credit. Come on.
What? I thought that's how marketing worked.
Oh, we take all the credit in marketing and the
Oh, yeah,
sellers
they
do all
cold
the...
call once and all magically they get... No, just kidding.
That is the reason marketing sourced revenue exists for sure, is marketers
Jeffrey,
wanted to take credit.
Morgan needs you to weigh in here.
Hey.
Well,
Hi,
hello,
everyone.
We do this fun thing just to warm up the comments and get to know our audience a little better. And it is called the question of the day. And it's always something a little bit more fun, not necessarily to do with our topic. So don't be surprised when it isn't.
Yeah.
And the question of the day is, what do you consider the ultimate comfort food?
Ooh.
Throw in the comments.
Yeah, throw it in the comments. We want to know what is your comfort food when it's rainy outside or you're a little depressed or things didn't go that way.
We got a celebrity on today.
I was about to say
Allen
Jen
is
Allen is joining us. Wow, hi Jen. And hello to everybody else. Thank you. My ultimate comfort food.
Grilled cheese. Tater tot hot dish. That's an interesting one.
I gotta be honest with you. I like it's a Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. There's something about it that's just the perfect amount of disgusting fat and not good for you chicken. It's just so good. And you get like a little side of fries. I'm loving all the answers.
Breadsticks and Nutella. That's a fun one. Chili.
Mm-hmm.
Fair
Chili,
enough.
very good. Hot wings.
Gumbo for the first time a couple years ago. And
Gumbo's great.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 French fries. Yeah. Burger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm with tacos.
Tacos would have been like a close second. I am a taco aficionado. I love tacos. You must bow to the taco as you eat it. That's when you know it's a good taco. You have to bow. You gotta, come on, Nick. How about you? What's your favorite comfort food?
Fresh McChicken, Canadian, of course. Nice. What is my favorite comfort food? I know I picked the hardest question. There's something about a really good grilled cheese and tomato soup that, or even like a homemade chicken noodle.
Ooh, yeah.
Like you just, But there's also something about grandma's cooking that I don't really care what it is that grandma makes, or like when she does her roasts.
Yep. You got to
stew. Like just something about grandma's cooking that everything is just comfort food, and I know that I'm going to gain 10 pounds when they're for a week.
It's always the danger going to family,
Oh, mac and cheese is such a good one too, and there's so many places that are making really creative spins on that.
Cacio e pepe is awesome. Dark chocolate's great. It's like a mac and cheese. It's just a little simpler. It's not a linguine noodle, but it's something like a thinner pasta with a Parmesan and cracked black pepper. It's a very sort of Roman mac and cheese is the way it's talked about.
There are so many good ones, and I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Brittany says you got to cook the grilled cheese in a ton of butter for the comfort. Damn right.
You know what's also really good? Throwing a little bit of garlic powder on the outside of it.
Ooh, yeah.
Or Parmesan.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Today, after all this food discussion, now I'm hungry. Now I'm like, what should I get? Today,
some inbound leads, maybe?
Yeah. Today, we're breaking down building an inbound funnel on LinkedIn. And honestly, Nick, it's really funny. Can I make an admission really quick? I think... So, we do these live shows every Friday. If you're new around here, hello, welcome to the B2B Power Hour. Every Friday at this time we go live. We have lots of rotating topics. And I was looking back through our past live shows, And we've definitely done a lot on outbound. We have done a lot of outbound content. We've done direct outreach strategies. We've done booking meetings and comments. We've done all sorts of things to like get to go out into the network, to go out into the world and like book meetings, build pipeline, and all the rest of it. And that archive is available on YouTube. However, we haven't done as much inbound. And I am thrilled for today to to workshop through some strategies, plays, tactics to help build an inbound funnel on LinkedIn.
But Morgan, the reason why we haven't done inbound is because it takes too long.
Sure.
You have a great story from this week, actually, if
Yeah,
you don't mind sharing. And
it's a great story. So, there's a mid-market account executive who's a friend of the show, and he's new in his position. And has been here in the Power Hour for a while, and then also grabbed a copy of our seller's guide and started a social selling play. And he sent me a WhatsApp message, and he said, "All right, it's day 3, so it's a little early, but I just got an inbound connection request, personalized from a VP level stakeholder at one of my target companies.
the perfect persona, too.
The perfect persona."
And he even had the screenshot evidence, so it is
Uh-huh.
the real deal.
It's a real deal. And so I think there's two things or there's two ways to think about this, Nick. One way and one sort of play or strategy is that there's outbound that becomes inbound.
Mm.
And that's the magic of a social network. Plain and simple. There's outbound that becomes inbound. And then there's actually just traditional inbound. There's the content creator, influencer, evangelizing play. But actually, if you don't need 10,000 followers to have inbound on LinkedIn, and separate from your outbound that becomes inbound. So today we're going to be breaking down some of the outbound becomes inbound, but we've done a lot of content on the outbound side. And then we're going to talk about the inbound, how to create that funnel. And I think the perfect place to start, no matter which one you're doing, is your profile.
So what about your profile, Morgan? What do you look for? What
Hmm.
is a great profile for a seller? What does it look like?
So it looks like a landing page. That is the mental
Hmm.
framework. It's a landing page. Now think about this. When I started in marketing and I was a web designer, all marketing was funneling towards landing pages. You would pay for an ad that somebody would click, and then they would go to your landing page, and then you'd hire a copywriter and you write and then you'd have a call to action. And then somebody clicked the button and they would buy. And that was marketing for a long time. And it still is in some ways. In social first prospecting world, or where you're using LinkedIn to prospect and you want to generate inbound traffic off of LinkedIn, the landing page isn't your website. The landing page isn't even an ICP tailored thing where, on a website, it has solutions and it says solutions for sales or for marketing. It's not even that page. The landing page is your profile. And what makes a great profile is that it passed the 3-second test. Now, we've done profile reviews about this before, Nick. So, what is the 3-second test on a profile?
So either you see a comment and they have this brilliant tagline, or
Hmm.
somebody looked at your profile and you're like, wow, maybe I'll go and like take a look. So now you land on their profile. You're like, okay. So I see their profile picture. It looks very professional. There's a big smile because a smile really increases the odds of them making you feel more approachable, happy. People like that. Made a big difference. You also have a background image that isn't astronomy or like magic mountains or the skyscrapers or like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's something that is relevant to you, something that's a
Hmm.
visualization of what you do. And so some people will do the social play and it'll add credibility by the brands they work with. Some people will just very clearly state what they do. Some people will go and have fun pictures and a very quick tagline. And then you also have your tagline,
Hmm.
and they all come together to the 3-second test. It's, do I know what you do? Are you interesting? Are you worth connecting? That's it.
That's it. And we sort of think about it, and I always think about it in this way. If I land on somebody's profile in the first 3 seconds, should I scroll? Because we look at a lot of LinkedIn profiles, and I'm sure everybody joining us today has visited lots of different people, that your key stakeholders, peers, influencers, whatever. And some of them you land on and you go, eh. And others you land on and you go, oh, I want to know more. And what you want is that second reaction. Somebody lands on your profile and they scroll, right? So the combo play of your cover photo, of your profile photo, and your headline all prompt somebody to say, I want to learn more. And then they scroll and then they'll look at your featured section and your about section and your experience as well. But experience anymore from what we see with the sellers and the buyers that we interact with isn't as important as it used to be if you're using LinkedIn to sell, right? If you use LinkedIn just for jobs or you're positioning your profile to be hired, then yes, of course, recruiters will take a look at your experience section. But for today's sake, we're talking about social selling. We're thinking about how to prospect in LinkedIn land, how to generate inbound on LinkedIn land, and genuinely, people are not going to look at your experience section too much unless you prompt them to. So after passing the 3-second test, there's really only two things I think about. One is, are you telling a powerful story in your about section? And that story should be about you and the company you work for. So if you think of it like I always mess up the name of this, teeter totters, seesaws. If you think of it as like a seesaw,
Same, same.
same. Okay. Um, Sometimes sellers go way too hard on the asynchronous pitch, and so it's just like a NASCAR race where they have the jackets and they have all the logos on their jacket. They're sponsored, and it's just all about the company, and it's only an asynchronous pitch. That's okay, but the other side of the seesaw is about you. It's your profile. You are not your company. You're a representative of your company. You're a seller for your company, but you are not your company. So the about section should tell a story. Nick has a great story, right? Mine needs some work right now. I'll be honest. If you visit my profile and you look at my about section, it's not up to snuff. And that's fine. The cost of editing is nothing. It is only the time it takes to write. So if you're not happy with something, click edit and edit it. It's
And
free.
and TED Talks are 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In those 18 minutes, the average top 10%, the ones that are getting millions and millions of views, will invest over 100 hours of practicing those 18 minutes. And every time they can get in front of people to get their opinion, they'll do it. But a lot of us sellers, the most uncomfortable thing we do is try to write about ourselves
So
and how
true.
to showcase ourselves and make sure that we're putting like our best, picture forward. And so why don't we ask a friend? Why don't you reach out to us? Why don't you reach out to people in the comments? Right now, if you know that somebody has like a brilliant profile, throw it in the comments right now so people can see what great looks like. So that way they have a starting point. There isn't one perfect design, but reach out, ask a few people. I found that the numbers between 10 and 20, just get feedback and you will keep getting better and it'll evolve over time. That's okay. But if TED speakers, the ones that get recognized world over for really great talks that captivate minds, ideas worth spreading, isn't a profile worth spreading also worth the time to get feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Something to consider.
So the about section is the imperfect part of your profile. It can be changed whenever. You can add, subtract, etc. And it is uncomfortable and it takes work, takes practice. That's 100% okay. The thing I'll say this. This might be a hot take. This might be a controversial take. And I know that there are plenty of people out in the LinkedIn world that may not agree with this, right? And that's okay. I believe you should have a link in your featured section to book time with you, to get on your calendar, to do something. And I have a little story about this. So we were working with the director of sales development at a startup, and he was doing social selling play. And he was generating a lot of outbound that became inbound, basically. which we'll talk about in a second. He was using a lot of plays that went out into the LinkedIn world, and by building in public, he generated a lot of interest back to his profile. And what happened was he got a lot of messages that said, "I'd love to get some time on your calendar." And that was great. That was super rewarding. So I said, you should try just putting a calendar booking link on your profile, because a lot of times people may not message you or want to message you to get time. And so you're putting up this obstacle in their way. This is the theory, at least, in order to get on your calendar as an inbound lead. Because if you go to a site and you're using something like a Chili Piper or a Calendly or something, lots and lots of buyers can go to your website and click book a demo or get on a call or whatever and immediately schedule it. And so if your profile is your modern landing page, you might as well have that on your profile, right? So he did it. And not a week later, he got so many calendar booking links from people who never messaged him, but just had seen his content and went to his profile. So they became a profile viewer and then clicked the link and got on his calendar. So we're making it a seamless experience. So if you don't have like a, get on my calendar sort of link on your profile page, you're creating an obstacle for your buyers to become inbound leads.
And these forums have gotten so much better.
Oh, they're
Because
so much
now
better.
you can take them through an experience of like, are you this? Are you this? If you're this, maybe I'm not the right fit. And you can design this also nicely that it saves everyone time, but it starts the experience even when you're not working, which is a big part of doing this. Is sales is layers of conversation. And anytime you can start adding an experience that starts adding value to build a better conversation, why not?
Why
Think of it
not?
too. It's in their best interest, because if you ask a few questions like, hey, you don't have to answer these, but if you do, it'll save us 10 to 15 minutes and our meeting will be more laser focused for you.
Exactly. It just makes the buying experience so much easier. And so if you think about your profile as a landing page, what's the call to action you want your buyers to take? Well, obviously, you want them to book some time with you. Okay? And sure, if you think from this from a let's just, back up, sales management perspective, are you going to get unqualified leads booking time with you? Maybe. Depends upon how you're doing your inbound strategy, which leads us to, after the profiles. By the way, actually, really quick, Nick, I see a lot of comments today about people wanting their profile reviewed. Do you think we should do that next week?
Ooh, we've been asked to go and do another profile review extravaganza.
It would be number 3. It would be.
So if you guys could
Mhm.
shoot us a DM, and then also write in the comments, we want another profile review show.
Yeah,
And
connect
we'll
with
do it.
us. Yep.
And then we'll go and pick our 20.
I think we can probably do 20-ish. Something like that. It'll be a sprint.
But throw it in the comments. Let us know that's what you guys want.
Mhm.
Profile review show, please. And
Yep.
we'll make sure it happens. And then I volunteer as tribute and we'll start taking names.
Sounds great. So, Nick, coming to one of your favorite plays of all time, outbound that becomes inbound. How the hell do you do that? How do you go out into LinkedIn and do outbound prospecting, quote unquote? You got a list of names, you got your target ICPs, your leads, your account, etc., and then have them come back to you as an inbound lead. How do you do that?
You got to start with the buyer in mind. So your profile's set, but you're like, what types of conversations do I want to be having? Well, the best conversations to have are about relevant topics. And one of my favorite ways of doing this is the influencer play. And it's
Mhm.
funny, we've tried so many different things, and I keep coming back to this as the best, hands down, best way of building pipeline. And so all you're doing is you're looking at, so if you had a list of just 10 accounts, you had to go and prospect, and they're prioritized, they're the ones you want to win. Of those 5 or 10 personas that fill that earthquake, that you're coming around from that decision maker that have that impact that they're going to see and feel and really want that investment of you to get there. Who do they trust? Seriously,
Mhm.
who do they trust? Where are they getting their industry news? Where are they getting updates, power ups for their skills? Where are they going? Is it a Slack community? Is it LinkedIn? Is it a Facebook group? Is it
Somewhere else out in the world,
somewhere
a
else?
YouTube channel, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And who's that main voice? There's
Mm-hmm.
usually one or two. If you really want to cheat this system just to get started, what are the leading trade shows in your industry and who's speaking? Not the celebrity status that they use just to go and get attention, but
Yeah.
who are the people that are digging into the skills, the workflows, the power ups that people really need? And don't connect with them quite yet. Hit the bell on their profile and let's get in their comments. And
And
Morgan does a really good job of this, but you don't want to get in your comments and pitch them. The reason
mm-hmm.
why you want to do this is like it's like seeing somebody at a coffee shop. You know, I walk into the coffee shop and maybe I'm friendly and I wave hi to Morgan. Well, the second, third, or fifth time, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you, Morgan."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm Morgan. Nice
and
to meet you.
then you come back a few more times, and what happens is you come familiar with this person. You start to trust this person because they're leaving valuable insights. They're asking great questions that are diving deeper into their expertise, or you're having fun and you're understanding the context that they're asking the question and not trying to look smarter than them in the comments. You're adding real value to build a better understanding of what they're talking about and having fun, and they start to trust you. They start to seek you out. They'll start commenting on your stuff. And as you're going through, you also want to comment on the comments in there because you'll see your ICP.
Mm-hmm.
And as these top people that are all going around commenting on the same accounts, you become a known name. You become trusted. People look for your information as well. And so they'll go through the comments. The influencer that I originally posted it will go through those comments and comment back. Honestly, somebody who's really good at this is Will Allred.
Well, Will is awesome. Will is amazing.
He does such a good job. He adds real value in the comments that make you want to lean in. They
Mm-hmm.
make you want to go and work with him, to have a conversation with him because it's really about you. He isn't trying to make himself look smart. He's just investing in you so you can do a better job. And he'll go through and he'll keep those conversations going. And Morgan has a couple tips
Mm.
on
Mm-hmm.
styles of comments that I actually refer to all the time because sometimes it's really hard. You're like, this is really good. I would love to show support,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not really sure how. Honestly, somebody else that does a really good job of this is Nate Nasrallah. And of course, the wonderful Jen Allen.
Jen Allen. Mm-hmm. So just to add structure to this play, what Nick is saying is don't go after the Gary V's, okay? The celebrity influencers. On LinkedIn, that means that they're probably over 100,000 influencers, right? That could be fine, right?
Even 30 right now. There's a lot of people that are getting, because the volume's picking up
Yeah,
so much. Like, I won't name names, but like there's a certain, if you're going 10,000, like 5,000 to
to
20,000,
20-ish. Yeah,
it's kind of the
that
sweet spot.
the reason we think about that bracket a lot is that there's a community in the comments. So there are people who are actually commenting who are a part of your ICP because you're going after the voice that your ICP listens to. And they're not too big in that. I don't know what just happened. But
Morgan, do your green screen before we start. We had this talk.
Actually, one of the nicest messages I have ever received is that I have like an HGTV background. Like that was the nicest compliment anyone's ever said to me. This is my actual place. It's not a green screen. The anyways, the goal is to find those ICP. So either on the influencer's post itself or replying to a comment from your ICP. So your ICP or your lead or your target account or whatever has commented on this post, you're going to reply to their comment. There's only really a few things you can do. One is an insightful comment or an extension comment or a yes and comment. And basically it's, man, I love this. And here's an additional insight. Or from my perspective, here's what I see. And so the goal is to sort of like keep that conversation going. If you think about it like at a party, you jump into a conversation, somebody's talking about something interesting that you kind of know something about, then you can continue the conversation, go, yeah, I remember when I did this and this is what happened. That's an example. Number 2 is a curiosity comment. What do you think about? Have you ever tried? Do you know any, did you read this before? Have you seen this before? What you're trying to do is you're accepting the post as is, and then you're prompting a new direction. And this works really well as a reply comment to your ICP, because they'll post something and then you can kickstart a conversation by asking them a question, by offering a curiosity comment. And the key thing about the curiosity thing, it's not fake. People can smell the BS a mile away. All right. If you're asking fake questions or you're only wanting to get their attention, they're going to sniff it out. So, what you'll want to do is to offer a genuine question. A third one is a joke. This is harder to nail. I've noticed Nick and I struggle sometimes with nailing our tone, where we say something that's supposed to be humorous that if you heard us on a live show, you would realize is funny. But when we write it down, it doesn't sound funny. So emojis
LinkedIn
are
needs
your
a
best
Giphy
friend.
keyboard in the comments. LinkedIn, if you're listening, I've said this 1,000 times. I've told you guys, please, we want a Giphy keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone I've talked to agrees.
Yep.
It should be a thing.
Should be a thing. But the joke comment, I've done joke comments a lot, and it gets attention because it's a pattern disrupt. Because if you think about people hearing this advice, they're going to hear, and a lot of people offer this advice, offer something useful in the comments, offer something of value, ask a question. And so a lot of the comments are going to be value extenders, questions, etc. But what if you could jump in there with a joke or something interesting? I've made many jokes about ICPs and like the problems of brand personas and all the rest of it. And I the the last thing, which works really well, not when you're in your first week, but once you've hit maybe like week 4 or 5 and you have some peers and some people who you're interacting with, tag in a friend. That's comment number 4. Now, tag in a
Tag
friend can
team
go,
approach.
the tag team comment you don't want to abuse, okay? And especially if somebody's like Nick and I tag team all the time because we work together, and that works really well for our dynamic. But if you're tagging in somebody who isn't a part of your team or who you just know through LinkedIn, obviously this is a privilege you shouldn't abuse because people will stop paying attention to it. So the tag team is one of two things. One is tagging in somebody to see something and then adding on a curiosity, a value extender, or a joke. So you're sort of extending the conversation. Or tag team, as in you're tagging in somebody and asking them what they think about this comment, what they think about this approach, help adding them into the conversation, sort of like grabbing them around at a party and go, hey, you should listen to this. Or what do you think about this? So those are 4 different options. I'll say at this point in time, if you want just if you've been taking notes, it's wonderful. But if you want the already note taken version of this, you can just go to b2bpowerhour.com, and on the homepage we put together a guide, like it's just a free guide that you can get with all of these things written out about how to do this with comments. So you can go check that out whenever you
Okay,
want.
Morgan. It's
Yes.
story time.
Oh, it's story
So
time. Okay.
you're scrolling through feed
Mm-hmm.
and you see Jen Allen pop up, and she's got this brilliant it stops the scroll immediately, and you're like, interesting, what is Jen talking about? And she starts telling you this really emotional, really intelligent story that really reframes the way you think about something, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. So you leave this comment. Well, shortly after you leave this brilliant comment, you start getting comments back. What is the first thing you're going to do? Well, if somebody gives you a really insightful comment back or asks a really thought-provoking question, is it worth your time to respond? Well, most people, that's how I look at it. And so what do you do, Morgan? What is the first thing you do before you respond sometimes?
What, Nick? I'm interested to hear what you do.
You look at their profile.
Mm-hmm.
And so it adds context and credibility to who that person is. And so this is how it always keeps tying back. And that's what you want to do is you want to be, somebody had said it further up, but Liam, be genuine and not thirsty. And so it's like, just be really genuine how you show up, but no, this is how people mentally go through, because there's so much spam and there's so much crap out there. They just want
Mhm.
to know that you're a good source, that you're a genuine person, and there's not an ulterior motive to doing what you're doing, right? You're not going to just go and get them interested and then wham, hit them with a pitch slap right after. And
Yep.
so this is how they naturally go through things. This is why especially your profile picture and your tagline really matter, because it helps people categorize you.
Mhm.
How can I compare you? Are you someone that can help me? And so it makes a huge difference. And you want, just like profiles, get feedback, try a lot of things. I have failed my tagline so many times, and now I have people that'll tell me, they're like, you should really change your tagline. It's not that great. I'm like, perfect. Thank you very
Perfect.
much. How would you write it? And
Mhm.
so always be open to feedback, but this is how this play rolls out. Is that's how people go through it. Well, what happens if that comment is so good and it's outside of the realm of those 30 seconds that it takes to respond, because it's commenting is just like a text message for the most part. They'll go to your profile
Yep.
and they'll book a meeting, or they'll send you a connection request, sometimes with a question back. And
Mhm.
this is how conversations spur from that. This is also
Mhm.
why it's really good every day to go into your profile and see who viewed your profile and connect with them, because they'll see that they found your profile from feed. If they
Mhm.
found it from feed, that means that they were looking at your content, most
Mm.
likely, or the comments that you posted. It's a really good sign to reach out to them. And you can even ask them, like, hey, I saw you found me from the feed. Did you catch one of my comments or content? Happy to keep the conversation going.
Mhm. This is can I also just note something really quick? Um, yeah, okay, not allowed. For our future audio listeners, Nick was shaking his head like, no, 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 Morgan's not allowed to note anything. So, I've seen this play sort of circulate, and there's lots of different sequences to this. So, I see this play a lot, and I see this. There's the agogi sequence, I think, from Sam. Who's that
Sam
outreach?
Nielsen?
Sam Nelson, yeah.
Nelson, yes.
And then there's another play I saw recently from somebody at Sales Loft, and I said, there's all this sort of stuff. So, and basically, everybody starts with the LinkedIn connection request. This is or an in-mail. It's one of the two. In all of these sequences, when people are trying to layer, uh, how do you layer our emails, our calling, our social together? Everybody starts with a connection request. Okay. And what I would encourage you to think about is if your profile, if your ICP is active, as we've assumed so far, and they're commenting or they're engaging with posts, start with a comment. That's how outbound becomes inbound. Okay. And if you think about this, and we've experienced this a lot. Zoe Hartsfeld said on a live show we hosted a couple months ago, she had said that your conversations in public earn engagement in private. So it's not just about responding directly to your ICP.
Such a good quote, too. Is like,
Such a good quote. Um,
yes.
so the point is that 90% of LinkedIn profiles are lurkers or some number like that. And what that means is they're scrolling, they're reading the comments, but they're not necessarily engaging. So what happens is they you don't see that they saw your comment until they visited your profile. And all of your commenting, this is how outbound becomes inbound. All of your commenting isn't just about your direct ICP, your direct account, your direct lead. It is also about all the people who see you engage and then visit your profile and say, oh, I want to learn more. And this is why your profile is so important. Because if you haven't dialed in your profile or you haven't developed that landing page, you're going to get a lot of attention and then it's going to fall off because your landing page isn't built right. Let's just snag this one question from Rodwan. Does anyone know how to have that book a meeting profile or book a meeting button on their profile? Nick?
Me.
Yeah, he does. It's underneath your featured section. You would add a link in
Oh.
your featured section.
So I was going to pull this up to go and tag both these. Where on my profile would I insert my Calendly link inviting visitors to book a conversation with me?
Hmm.
And it's in your featured link. So under featured, and it asks you what type, there'll be a link. You
Mhm.
throw your Calendly link in there. Audit this. It's
Yes.
so easy to have an oops.
We haven't, never. You
No,
and
it's
I
never
make a
happened.
mistake? No.
But but like if you're doing somebody internally, just ask them when they book their next meeting with you, just to give it a try.
Mhm.
And then get feedback of like, hey, what could I add to this to make it better? But featured, add your Calendly link, and then start thinking about that process of like, what questions should you add, or that type, that value add automation. Just something to
Mhm.
consider.
So, let's let's talk about something a little about the lurkers. I want to jump into the lurkers because this is a little larger of a conversation. And there's so we've talked at sort of at a high-ish level, and we've talked about this on a lot of power hours about outbound that becomes inbound mostly through commenting. And then the question is, and we hear this all the time from sales development directors we work with, from sellers, account executives. Okay, great. That's low hanging fruit. These accounts are active. What about all of my other ICP or account executives who aren't active? And I just said account executives because that's part of our ICP, but ICP, whoever you're targeting. The reality is that there's two ways to get to them, and they're sort of combined. Okay. One play I like to call connecting content. And the other play is sort of a connect with a spear. And a spear is a formulation Justin Michaels popularized a while ago. And the connect and spear is a lot less common because it's actually pretty much like outbound. It's not really inbound. And what you're doing on a connect and spear is that you're formulating a highly personalized, direct, and results or like direct call to action connection request that is trying to prompt an immediate response based on the assumption that today is the right time that they need to buy from you for many different reasons. And it's an art form, and it's a
Prospecting just in the nick of time.
it's probably hey, just in the nick of time. Um, we've talked about this a lot on direct outreach strategies, and it's not a connect and pitch in the sense of like a blank connection request or a personalized connection request and then a follow up and trying to pitch them. You're literally just trying to outreach and say, "Hey, I saw observation. Most companies in this position experience insight, and then." We help blah 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 blah. So it's like a really short, highly intentional, usually above the power line VP CEO sorts of things to get their attention. um but that's all outbound, and I don't think do you want to add any color to that, Nick? Because I was thinking of just jumping into inbound.
Well, I was thinking let's talk comments, the
Yeah.
comments on the problems that are already happening, and then let's talk about how it validates content. Guys, this is your show. Get in the comments. Let
If
us
you
know when it
hmm
comes to inbound and building this funnel. What do you guys need to know?
hmm
What are you have always been wondering about? I see people asking about taglines. Keep throwing it in there, and we will make sure it gets covered today.
Yep.
But going on about the lurkers.
The lurkers.
The lurkers trust who they trust.
hmm
So the lurkers on that influencer strategy, most of the time, if it's someone they know, they'll see it because it pops up in their feed. The other thing is, we've all been to high school,
Yep.
and we know that people love to complain.
hmm
People also will be vulnerable on social and in these digital communities because they just don't know. And it's really tough to find these conversations at scale, but it's a lot easier than trying to think of good content. And so, what are things that people say that show that they're struggling with something that you can help with? I really hate cold calling. Wonder why they hate cold calling. Is it because fill
hmm
that blank?
Can't
Fill
get the
that
right
blank.
ad spend, or man, Google Ads is so expensive now, or yeah, we're having talent retention issues, or we just laid off. Like what the way that they're going to write it is really important.
But think about it. They're going to say it to a peer.
hmm
Think of it like nobody's going to say, "Hey, Morgan Dash, I'm experiencing a strategic fatal error in my outreach sequence of like it's not how they're gonna write. They don't write like marketers.
Mm-mm.
Nobody writes like marketers in real life. But
Sorry to
just
all the
teasing,
marketers in chat.
guys.
No, 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 no.
Just because I love teasing Morgan.
I know, I know,
but
I know.
but it's just a casual conversation. Hey, buddy, like I'm spending so much time on prospecting,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm just wasting. I need to spend more time on just doing outbound.
Yep.
That could be a conversation. Hey, what are you doing to make your cold calls work? How are you booking meetings right now? Oh, it really frustrates me trying to figure out how to use Sales Nav. Nobody can teach me how to go and use it. And then they're like, these are the things that people are going to write in posts, but it won't be explicit. Sometimes it'll be implied. They'll be talking about an issue that they're experiencing in their workflow, or they're just venting.
Mm-hmm.
That is a perfect opportunity to come in as a trusted voice to add clarity and just have a conversation. The thing is, as soon as you go into that and they comment, it now gets seen by both people's audiences. And this
And
is where it goes deeper. And if all of a sudden you're getting lots of likes and lots of comments back, you just validated content.
so what Nick is sort of laying out is what we call social listening. And what you're doing is you're actually logging into LinkedIn and you're pulling up the search bar and you're doing a search for that phrase. So, people don't post a lot about phone disconnects. They're not going to put, if I was, selling, I don't know, something like that, they're not going to use the phrase phone disconnects, but they might use the phrase can't get somebody on the phone, or can't get first meeting booked, or lots of these sort of casual ways people are going to be posting or commenting about it, and also throwing it in their profiles depending upon how your ICP is. And what you're doing is you are searching LinkedIn for that phrase to find the conversations to jump into. So some of that is the outbound becomes inbound. But then what Nick was just hinting at, which is the crucial step and the last piece of this inbound funnel, is you are validating content ideas. So,
And this is the last step, is
yeah.
actually posting worthwhile content. But can I take one of these comments? Because I think this pulls together everything
Oh,
really
sure,
nicely.
sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Who else is
Um,
in this boat?
so Thaisa asks, when I funnel, I think of ClickFunnel. Should I have my sales page link in the space where you can enter your website under my tagline, which is this new little feature on your profile? You can add a link at the very top of your profile.
This is a great conversation. This is a
Mhm.
discussion that I think we should have right now. Morgan, would you like to start, or do you want me to tee it up?
You're welcome to.
So when you think of ClickFunnel, you think top, middle,
Hmm.
bottom. To me, that's content, comments, DMs. That's how I mentally go through it from the marketing side when I'm using social selling. And then that bottom piece is when we go from discovery and we start doing either in Challenger we call it the me to we, but it's like, think about when you want to book that meeting and where that bottom point is where you're transitioning to in pipeline. And
Hmm.
so my content is my top of funnel. It's getting their interest. And I actually make that bottom, that meeting, just the meeting link, because they followed my content. And so it just depends on how you set up your profile. If you're taking everything out of your ClickFunnel and putting
Hmm.
it into your profile, then it acts in the same way. The thing is, it's very rare that somebody sees one post.
Right.
There is no one mythical post. There isn't one mythical closing line. There isn't one mythical question that just cracks the door wide open, or else there'd be a lot of really rich people and not many other people selling. It's a number of posts. Some people say it's up as 20, 30, 50. We know sometimes companies will take 3 to 6 months of watching the show to go and contact us. And so design it with the buyer's journey in mind, from the content to your profile,
Hmm.
and then think about like DMs, or if it's going to be into a meeting, and design that first, thinking about who needs to know I exist in this company and what do they need to know before they'll book a meeting with me.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely sort of, I mean, what Nick is pointing to is like figuring out what your buyers need when they land on your profile. I don't have a hard ask in that link. It's a sign up for our weekly field notes, which is just notes from the field we send out. on my profile, because it's a low ask. Basically, it's it's not a lot of friction to go and say, oh, maybe I'd like to learn more. So it could be to your benefit if you think, if the CTA is written right. But what I would expect is that buyers are more likely to see your tagline, skip over the link, and learn more. And so in that landing page formula, if you might as well just have it further down in your featured section anyways, and leave that link blank, unless that there's something fun or interesting in that. Like, it depends upon how you're doing some of your inbound too. That's what Nick was pointing to and what we're sort of cycling out right now. The I don't want to lose this content thread, Nick, because it's super important, because this is the last piece of today. And then I see more questions and we'll get to it. So I'll be brief. What we were talking about was using social listening. And what you're doing is you're finding conversations that are already happening on the platform. And then you're using comments to validate the idea of your content. And what you're looking for is people engaging back and saying, that's interesting. Hadn't thought of that. Oh, tell me more. What do you think about this? And what you're doing is you're creating conversations. You're creating ideas for good content. And the easiest way to do this, honestly, is a notes app, a Google Doc. It does not have to be fancy. Everybody loves the productivity apps. I'm one of them. It does not have to be some complicated table inside Notion that's color coded and all the rest of it. The goal is just to understand what people are having problems with in your industry and what you might be able to speak to. And this is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable for me for a long time, because I was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of know how to talk about it, but I don't really know how to articulate something of meaning or something interesting. So the inbound play, let's tie these threads together, becomes connecting with people in your ICP who aren't active, these lurkers. And all you're doing is a blank connection request. This is why your profile needs to be up to snuff. Because if your profile is not up to snuff, you have a pitchy headline, your profile doesn't make sense, your connection acceptance rates will likely be 30% or below. And that's an indication that you need to improve your profile. If it's between 30 to 50%, you're on your way. You're definitely headed in the right direction. And if you're over 50% on blank connection requests to your ICP, you're in a good golden spot. I will say, I think, right, like with more time and investment, you can get that up to 80 or 90% without any personalization. It just takes time to figure out exactly how things need to be dialed in. But the goal is you're connecting with these people, with these lurkers, these people who aren't posting actively. So you don't have the option of commenting on their stuff. And then you're nurturing them with content. And what I mean by that is not a daily post, not something you're at. Yeah, okay, can we just take it? You don't need to be a content marketer. I swear to God. You do not need to be somebody with a plan of action for 90 days. You're going to post at 9:03 a.m. every single day with the most insightful thing you've ever seen. All right. Most sellers that we work with post at most 3 times a week. And that's fine. What is more important is that you are consistent and you are insightful, not that you're posting every day. So the way to become consistent is to create this social listening doc, to accumulate all of these insights from your comments and what questions people are asking and what things you're listening into around the network. You're compiling it all into a doc, and then you're creating short little posts as an answer to those questions or to extend the conversation or telling a story.
One thing I found really helpful with this is to remember the context that you had wrote that comment. When I'm on the computer, I grab the URL, the
Mm-hmm.
website, like I grab that actual link to the post and I throw it on top, and then I write my comment. That way, when I'm going to rewrite that post, I can go back, see the context in which they asked their question to write my post or tell a story.
Mm-hmm. And sure, this is an art form. Like, writing content is not the easiest thing in the world, and I'll be the first person to admit that. And actually, funny enough, earlier in the show, we were talking about this mid-market account executive who generated a lot of inbound traffic off of some comments. He was joking that he posted a post and for the first time ever got no likes on the post at all. we've been there. We have both been there consistently for a long time where our content did not resonate. And all that means is, that content piece didn't resonate.
Keep tweaking.
Just
You
try
learn.
again, try something else. The point is that content generates inbound. Content that is insightful and consistent. So by taking those insights from your social listening exercise, turning them into pieces of content, taking a comment and turning it into a piece of content, taking a question you saw, turning it into a piece of content. All of those things, as long as you're continuing to nurture, you're adding more people to your network who are lurkers. They're seeing that content when they log in, or they're seeing your comments when they log in. This is how this starts to stack, because the algorithm also promotes your comments. So you're engaging on somebody who is active. The lurker ICP sees in the feed, oh, Morgan or Nick commented on this person's post. They see your comment. This is how this starts to stack. Then they'll view your profile. This is why it all comes back to your profile, because they'll say, who is this person? I know we connected with, and this has happened to us. Who is this person? I know we connected a little bit ago, and they continue to share good stuff. Or like, yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking. Or, oh, that's really interesting. And they go to your profile, and then what do you want to have happen? Well, you either want them to book some time with you, they want to DM you, they, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're able to generate inbound leads off of your commenting, which is outbound that becomes inbound, and your content, which is generating inbound, all back to your profile.
Content is the new nurture sequence.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing this right and you're learning more about your audience and really kind of finding your voice and your unique point of view, content is the new nurture sequence. Comments are what earn you trust and get you visibility. But I'll tell you guys, Morgan's going to give me heck for this, but I'm going to tell you guys my favorite play because it's our show and I can do what I want. So
Go for
this
it.
is how I would run this in the morning. 10 to 15 minutes. If that's all you had is enough, 30 would be ideal. So you get onto your computer and you prioritize DMs, the conversations that are already happening. Continue them. Next, what you do is you go to your connection requests. Who's in there? Should you accept? And can you continue the conversation? Perfect. Next, we post our content.
Mm-hmm.
Our content is what do these people need to hear before they want to book a meeting with you? What is a story that'll bring them closer, that'll earn their trust, that adds real value to the feed? Next is you do your comments. And so you go out and you're doing your comments, your influencer and your social listening. And remember, you don't have to do it forever. Just give yourself a little bit of time, do it for a bit, move on. Next, what you do is you go to your profile and you review who looked at your profile and send them a connection request. You can either guess at why
Mm-hmm.
and add like a piece to start that conversation, or you can do what Morgan said that works really well is just if your profile's set up well, just send them a connection request and let them accept it, and then you can go
Mm-hmm.
back. And then LinkedIn also has this really nifty little feature that people don't know about, I didn't know about until not too long ago, is you go in the top corner. And on the top corner, it says interesting profile views. Turn on.
Mm-hmm.
Turn that on and make sure that anybody that's second or third degree that are in your ICP, connect with them. And this is where the fun begins because now it's all about having great conversations. Throw a GIF in there, add some emotion, send them a video, really show up in a way that's meaningful and stands out.
Mm-hmm.
But this now takes everything all together in a 30-minute play that takes intent and it wraps it up into inbound play that you can then go and do the rest of your stuff the rest of the day. And the nice thing is when you do this, it compounds, it grows, it gets more visibility. So I actually do this, I spread it out over 3 times a day doing different tasks so that the algorithm works in my favor. People see more of my content, more people jump in the comments. And so it actually will reduce your need for outward prospecting. And when you connect with these people, because they've listened to your content, because they've engaged in your comments, because you're a known person that they feel more comfortable with, this is when it really jumps up and becomes that 80, 90, 100% acceptance rate. And it allows you to start doing discovery in the DMs.
Mm.
And that's really cool because now they're in. And now you can start doing the really good work that the prospecting, like when people don't trust you, they won't let you ask those big questions. They won't let you go there. So you're kind of almost skipping the me, why I need this, to, hey, how can we get my company to do this? And that's cool.
Hmm. Where is the button for interesting profile views, Nick?
So when you if you go into your guys' profile right now and scroll over, I could pull it up and go and show everybody. Should I just do that?
Sure, if you would like.
Sure. So it's on the top right, it's under filters, and that's the last one on the right.
Ah, I see.
If you want to share your screen, we can go for it. I
I
just
see. I
got it.
see. Go for it.
So
I can.
whoop. Let's see if this thing will be nice to me and actually show the tab in a good size. So see how it says interesting viewers?
And if you don't have that, you should click all filters first, because I didn't. So just click all filters, Nick, really quick. And then on the lower right hand side, it says interesting viewers on or off.
And so what it'll do is, like, right now I have just over 3,000 profile views, but as soon as I click this, it'll be only the interesting ones that'll pop up. So it could be companies that I'm following, it could be people that are in seniority. The best ones are when you get people that found you through LinkedIn search, because that's an
Mm-hmm.
intent trigger that they were seeking you out. Always respond to those people. But see how it went down to 222?
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice clean list for you to start working.
Mm-hmm. Um, Simon or Simone, I apologize, had asked had said the hardest thing creating content has been to place my company and how we can solve the problems without pitching. This is such a common problem, and this is a very common question. So know that this is not, we struggle with this too, actually. um, what it comes back to is a point of view. And this is what differentiates everybody who has great content from people who are just creating content to pitch. And the point of view is about what you believe or what your company's perspective is happening in the industry and why that is important to your buyers. So if you take like a big marketing name like Chris Walker, Chris Walker's content works not because he talks about marketing attribution or not because he talks about demand generation. Sure, he has a lot of content on demand generation and how to do it and what to look for and what metrics. But it always comes back to a point of view that he is articulating about why marketers should care about the things he's talking about, which is dark social, right? That buyers don't buy the same way they did a decade ago. And we need to change our methods so that we have a different strategy and different tactics as marketers. Same thing in your industry. What has changed or what is changing that your buyers need to know? That comes back to your point of view. And if your company hasn't articulated that point of view, that it's harder to nail as an individual seller, but it is continually experimenting with what do our buyers need to know before they buy? How can we show them that it's not just about our product? Our product is a solution to the state of the world, not necessarily just a pain that they're experiencing in this moment. Our point of view is that the world has changed from X to Y, and as a result of Y, they need to have this sort of product or they need to have this kind of solution, and our product does that, right? That's how it's different from just pitching. It's saying, here's our point of view about how the world works. And working through your content on that will get a lot of people's attention when you connect with them.
But it's so much simpler than people think.
It's true.
In sales, we kind of get broken to think people care about us. That they magically just like wake up and they're like, I really just need to go and buy a computer. That's what I need. All my life's problems would be magically solved by a computer. That's why when so many people reach out with a solution, the first thing that comes to people's minds is, so what?
Right.
We're amazing. We have award winning. We're strategic. We partner. And if you weren't, would you still be employed? Would you
Right.
have a business? People just don't care because you didn't nail a problem. You didn't start with an observation, a reason to reach out. And so with content is it's like comedy. You're poking fun at the reality that people don't know or they know is there. And so, prospecting can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, sometimes it's hard to really go and find that person that needs you versus the person that's just there. There's a start of content because now I'm looking at what's the problem and I'm articulating the problem in a way that is thought and felt by people that have it. So really focus on the problem
Hmm.
and point to a possible solution,
Hmm.
but that's not you.
Right.
People are smarter
Hmm.
than we sometimes give them credit for, which is unfortunate. And we all start there. So don't worry, you're you're not alone.
You're in
But
great company here.
you're in great company. So the big thing is articulate the problem to build trust and credibility, to show you understand them. Do you understand the way that they feel it and how frequent and big and that problem is? And then point to a possible solution that is the category that you're in. This also leads to your tagline. Point to the category, highlight the problem,
Mhm.
don't name the solution. Because if people are just seeking a solution, those are the people that throw you into. Now you're in negotiation wars. Now you're filling an RFP. Now you're creating work and probably going to have to go and play the discount game. Just think about this to really stand out and be yourself, to really get the inbound that builds great conversations and gets you recognized in the company is by understanding the problem better than anyone else. And you guys will win.
Mhm. All right, so we're at the end of the hour already. Somehow, I know it's crazy. Um, I saw a lot of demand for a profile review next week, so we're going to do a LinkedIn profile review extravaganza. The best way to get in early is if you're not connected with us, any of us, shoot us a connection request and say, "Hey, I want my profile reviewed." All right, shoot us a DM, and we will try and line up a number for next week. So thank you all for joining this morning for this edition. I just lost the ability to speak English. The hour's over. Morgan's brain's turned off. Thanks so much for joining this edition of the B2B Power Hour. Nick, you want to close us out?
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why to respect your time blocks or
Yeah.
therefore. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Guys, it is 2022. It is no longer acceptable to suffer alone. We're not just
Mhm.
stuck in these little hidey holes by ourselves. We have the internet, we have LinkedIn, we have people that want to help us, support us, and they're right here in the comments. And there's always us. You don't need to buy anything, you just need to reach out. So if you're struggling in sales, if you feel like your manager isn't there to support you and you feel like giving up, shoot us a DM, get in our
Yeah.
comments, and we want to help.
Yep.
Sales is a team sport. You guys got this. Thank you very much for showing up today, and we can't wait to see you next week. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
Happy